Okay, back to the Chanukah Gemara. The Gemara says like this. Some Ravuna said, Haragel Bened, one who was very meticulous and careful and lighting Shabbos candles and Chanukah candles, will merit to have children, sons that are scholars. Hazar ben mezuzah, if one is meticulous and very meticulous in the din of mezuzah, meaning beautiful mezuzahs and old doors and so on, zeichel no, will merit a beautiful home. Hazar betzitzis, if somebody is meticulous in the mitzvah of tzitzis, zeichel talis no, will merit to have beautiful garments. Azar b'kiddush hayom, if somebody is meticulous in making kiddush and Shabbos, zeichel mamala garbe yain, he will merit to fill many kegs of wine in his house. So if you see, all these things are, let's call mida keneged mida. You're careful mezuzah, you'll have a nice house. You're careful tzitzis, you'll have nice garments. The first thing the Rav Huna said was, if you're meticulous in lighting candles, Shabbos candles and Chanukah candles, you will merit to have sons Tamidei Chachamim. Why? Because the pasuk says, Ner mitzvah v'Torah or. Through Ner mitzvah, you'll have Torah or, you'll have sons scholars. It's very interesting, when the Rebbe came out with the campaign that girls from the age of 3 should begin lighting Shabbos candles. So besides the Rebbe said it was an old custom, without a lot of details the Rebbe said, but the one additional thing the Rebbe said, based on this Gemara, the Gemara says that if you were meticulous in Shabbos candles, you were merit to have sons, Tamidei Chachamim. In other places it says sons-in-law, Tamidei Chachamim. So he says, the Rebbe said like this, for better, for worse, he said, this is actually in Yiddish, he said, for better, for worse, years ago, the parents made the shidduch. Who made the shidduchim? The parents made the shidduch, right? The kids weren't involved in the shidduch. So then the Gemara says, if you're meticulous, if the mother and the father is meticulous in Shabbos candles, so then you'll merit to have sons and sons-in-law Tamidei Chachamim. But now, again, for better, for worse, kids are making their own shidduchim. So if they want to merit to have a good husband, then they should be meticulous in lighting Shabbos candles. The Rebbe didn't say that's the reason, but he said that's an additional aspect of this. Then the Gemara says like this: Rav Huna used to regularly pass by the door of Rabbi Abba the carpenter. He saw that he lit many candles in Shabbos and Chanukah. Amar, he said, two great people, two great tzaddikim are going to come out of this house. The Gemara says nothing between Ravida bar Avin and Rav Chia bar Avin. Talking this Rav Avin carpenter, who says not necessarily a great Talmid Chacham, but because he was careful in Shabbos candles and Chanukah candles, so Rav Huna said he's going to have two sons, great Talmidei Chachamim, and yet Rav Avu, great Tamiroim. Rav Chisda v'Rogel davachol v'tona pircha d'veinoshe Rav Shizvi. Rav Chisda would regularly pass by the home of Rav Shizvi's father. Chaza also davarogel b'shraga tuva. He saw again that he was very meticulous in lighting candles. Amar davar rabba nafik mehocha. He said a great tzaddik, a great Talmid Chacham is going to come out of this house, and Takir Rav Shizvi came out of that house. It was a big Talmid Chacham. Okay, so Gemara says like this: Dvisul Rav Yosef, Rav Yosef's wife, have a ma'achnu madlikli. What Ben Shlich, not that as a Mephoshim point out, not God forbid late, but she would Ben Shlich she didn't do it too early. She did it early because al pi din there's something called Tosefos Shabbos. In a din, besides the fact that you have to have Shabbos, the Gemara learns out from Yom Kippur, and therefore the Gemara learns out by Shabbos also, that you need what's called Tosefos Shabbos. You have to add a little bit to Shabbos before it starts and a little bit after it ends. So Rav Yosef's wife would light pretty late. Yeah. Amar lo Rav Yosef, so Rav Yosef said to his wife, it says in the pasuk, when they in Parshas B'Shalach, when the Eden left Mitzrayim, so they had the Amud Ha'anan, the cloud during the day, and the Yeah, and Amud Eish, the pillar of fire at night. Malamed Sha'anon Mashlim Lamed Eish. It teaches us that the pillar of cloud overlapped the fire, and Amud Eish Mashlim Amud Onan. So he said basically you should bring in Shabbos a little bit earlier. Savar Lagduma. So therefore his wife thought, okay, I'll bench licht really early. Amalah Husava, so a certain elder, and Taisus and Chulin says, when it says Ahusava, not in Zayah, but in Gemara, when it says Ahusava, refers to Eliyahu Navi. So he says, Tanina, we learned, you can't light candles too early or too late. Like we learned in Hilchos Shabbos, the earliest you can light a candle is Plaga Mincha. You can't do it before that though. And late, obviously, after Lichtbench time, you can do it. Then the Gemara says like this, Amar Rav, the Racham Rabbanon, if somebody loves Torah scholars, Havel Benin Rabbanim, are going to have sons who are Torah scholars. The Meker Rabbanon, one who honors Torah scholars, Havel Chasunovat Rabbanim, they're going to have sons-in-law who are scholars. Okay? Because the Mepharshim explain love is more than honor. So if you love a Talmid Chacham, you'll merit that your son will be a Talmid Chacham. If you honor Talmid Chacham, then you'll have sons-in-laws. The Dachal Rabbanon, one who fears Torah scholars, again, fear means awe and respects, have a gufet tzuvim Rabbanon. You're going to become a sharp scholar yourself. And if you're not capable of being, you just don't have the mental capacity to do it, so nevertheless, your words will be honored by people like if you would be a Talmid Chacham. Okay, that's this Gemara. That finishes this. Then the Gemara says like this. The Gemara asks a shaila like this. Should you say Alanisim in benching, Berchas Hamazon, and Chanukah? What's the question? The Gemara says like this: Kivin Rabbanon hu loyev metchaninan, because it's rabbinic. The whole Yom Tov Chanukah, maybe you shouldn't mention it. Or Dilmar, maybe mishum persumenisim metchaninan, maybe because it's publicizing the miracle, we should do it. So Taisus says, by the way, what's the question? Taisus explained, in davening for sure you say Alanisim. Why? Davening is usually with a minyan, and there's a lot of people. So therefore, it's Pesumei Nisa. Benching, Berchas Hamazon, usually do in your house, privately. So the question is, because it's only rabbinic, do you mention it? Or maybe because it's still Pesumei Nisa, you should do it anyway. So the Gemara says like this, Amar Rav, Amar Rav Schreir, Amar Rav Huna, Eina Maskir. You don't have to mention Alanisim in bench. But in Bala Haskir, if you want to mention Alanisim, which brach of benching do you do it in? Bahida in Neidalacha, like we do today. Rav Huna bar Yehuda Ikoy lebei Rava. Rav Huna, the son of Yehuda, came to Rava's house. Savar latchuri bebeinu Yerushalayim. He wanted to say Alanisim in Beini V'Rachmav, like we say Ritzei and Yalaviyavai. So he thought Alanisim will put in the same place as the other two. Amar Rav Shesha said no. You have to do it b'tefillah. If you're mentioning it in benching, you have to do it like in davening. Just in davening, you do it in modim. That's where you say Alanisim. So benching is also, you mention it in Haidah. What's interesting though, halacha says, when you make alamichya, you don't mention not Chanukah, not Purim. In benching, yes. And we learned if you forgot, you don't repeat benching. But it's interesting, in benching you do, and alamichya and those things you don't. The other things we do mention, Shabbos, Chodesh, Yom Tov, but not Chanukah because it's midrabanan. Machen Shines Ram Meister Memer Weber mein Kim Schwela Gautera, Ranar Mekashim Rotzkel Bochzak